Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great time and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm reviewing the Space Marine Whirlwinds. So the Whirlwind is the long-range artillery support unit for the Space Marines, and I'll also be covering the Whirlwind Scorpius and the Whirlwind Hyperios. Normally I'd leave links in the description to where you can buy these, but I couldn't actually find anywhere to buy the Hyperios, so unfortunately that won't be there, but I'll leave links to the regular Whirlwind and the Whirlwind Scorpius. If you do enjoy these videos, then please subscribe and like the video, and if you've got any other ideas for videos for me to do, or you've got something that I forgot to add in this video, then please comment if you want. So the Whirlwind is based on the Rhino profile, so it's got a pretty much identical profile. It has a movement of 12, weapon skill of 6 up, ballistic skill of 3 up, strength 6, toughness 7, 11 wounds in total, 3 attacks, leadership of 8 and a 3 up save. As it degrades, you'll lose movement, ballistic skill and attacks. The movement goes down from 12 to 6 and finally 3 when it's only on 2 wounds left. And at 5 wounds it'll have a 4 up ballistic skill and D3 attacks, going down to 5 up ballistic skill and 1 attack. I wouldn't worry too much about the attacks going down, they'd be hitting on 6s anyway, and with this thing you're not likely to get into close combat if you play it correctly. So the 3 types I'm reviewing all have this exact same profile. However, their points cost does change slightly, and as I said earlier, the Whirlwind is a longer range artillery tank for the Space Marines. First I'll go over the basic Whirlwind. This one is 125 points and it's a heavy support choice for the Space Marines. It has 2 main weapon options, both costing the same, and it can also take a hunter-killer missile and or storm bolter. Both of those cost 5 extra points, and the storm bolter is a rapid fire 2, strength 4, no AP and 1 damage weapon. It's more useful on tanks that like to get closer up, things like a Predator or a Vindicator, so I wouldn't usually be taking it on this. And it can also take a hunter-killer missile, which is the 48-inch range, heavy 1, strength 10, AP -2 and D6 damage 1. That one's more useful on this, and I might take it, especially if I was going up against things that have a lot of tanks, although this thing doesn't really do well against tanks, so I'd usually only take this in a mainly infantry-focused list you'll be going against. On the subject of anti-infantry, this has 2 options. The Whirlwind Castellan launcher, which is a 72-inch range, heavy 2d6, strength 6, no AP and flat 1 damage weapon, whilst the Vengeance launcher is the same range, however it's heavy 2d3, strength 7, AP -1 and 2 damage. Both of these weapons don't require line of sight to hit, and they also have the blast keyword. I'd usually take the Vengeance launcher, especially against opponents such as Space Marines. However, the Castellan launcher would probably be better against Guard or Demons, where there are lots of units with toughness 3 and low armor saves. Next up is the Scorpius. This is a forgeworld kit, and it will cost 170 points. It also has Martial Legacy as an ability, meaning that if you want to field this in a detachment, you'll have to pay 1 extra command point. This one can take a hunter-killer missile and a storm bolter, however it only has 1 main weapon choice, the Scorpius multi-launcher. It's a 48-inch range, heavy 3d3, strength 6, -2 AP and 2 damage. It's a lot better against taking out infantry such as Space Marines than the regular Whirlwind with the Vengeance launcher, because its extra AP will make it more likely to cut through the armour, and the strength doesn't matter against toughness 4. I've already mentioned about the hunter-killer missile and the storm bolter, but I think the Scorpius launcher is definitely the main point about this one. Although it's shorter range, I think, especially in smaller games, the range is never really going to be a problem. So on some of the Imperial Guard tanks, like the Basilisk with its 240-inch range, this one with only 48 might seem a bit small in comparison, but unless you're sitting this right in the corner, range shouldn't be an issue. I think overall this weapon's definitely better than either of the main Whirlwind choices. However, the model itself is fairly expensive, and seeing as you need to pay an extra command point, I don't know if it would be worth it over the basic one. Now we get on to the Whirlwind Hyperios. This is the one that I couldn't really find any images or buying links to, so I'll just tell you what it can do. It's 130 points, and its main weapon is the Whirlwind Hyperios launcher, and this one's quite different to the other two for reasons that you'll see in a minute. It can, as usual, take a hunter-killer missile and a storm bolter, both costing 5 points, and the main weapon is a 48-inch ranged, heavy 2d3, strength 7, AP-2 and 1 damage weapon. This also has the blast keyword. However, it has the abilities where, if targeting an aircraft unit, you'll add 2 to the hit roll, and it also does 2 damage. This makes it clearly an anti-air vehicle, similar to a stalker or a hunter, and less good as an artillery support unit. You can see that the weapon is clearly inferior to the artillery ones, especially on the Scorpius. However, it's fairly good at taking at least a few wounds off vehicles. If you are going up against a lot of flyers, I think this may be a decent choice. However, there are other options available. Now I'll go over a few useful synergies you could use the Whirlwind with. The Land Speeder, which is a fast attack Space Marines choice, and I'll cover that in a future video, has an ability called Data Link Telemetry. This allows you to choose one unit that's within line of sight to it, and within 18 inches, and any Whirlwinds making an attack with their Castellan or Vengeance launchers will add 1 to the hit roll. This can be fairly useful, and as the Land Speeder is pretty cheap already, if you're deploying several Whirlwinds and focusing them all at the same target, this could be very valuable, making them hit on 2s in their first bracket. The Iron Hands chapter gives buffs to vehicles, such as allowing them to regain wounds with Tech Marines, adding more to their hit rolls, and reducing the amount of wounds that they have left when they start to degrade. This should mean that Whirlwinds only degrade into the second bracket on 2 wounds, making it incredibly effective and allowing it to stay in the fight for a lot longer. However, Tech Marines in other chapters can also help, obviously by repairing it and increasing its damage output. I've thought a lot about what score to give this, and eventually I've settled on a 7 out of 10. If you feel differently, then feel free to comment, but my reasoning is that it's decent as a support unit for a gun line, especially if it's staying right at the back in a building. Things like the regular Whirlwind and the Scorpius can do plenty of damage to approaching infantry. Against vehicles, they're not so good. However, I think it's especially the Vengeance launcher on the regular Whirlwind will make short work of any Space Marines. You can also use it to screen out deep striking units at the back. This will make it useful for if you're going up against something like Raven Guard, which allows heavier units, like even Assault Centurions, to deep strike in at the sides of your board. And also the fact that it ignores line of sight is very useful. You can use it to pick infantry units off objectives, especially if they're out of range of any other units from your army. But I think the Scorpius and the Hyperios are a lot more inferior to the regular Whirlwind. The Scorpius is just a bit expensive, and the Hyperios is way too situational because of the fact that to be firing at full efficiency you need to be going for aircraft. So I've given it a 7 as well because it's a fairly cheap unit. It can do plenty of damage, and I'll leave some links to it in the description so you can use it in some games of your own if you want. So I hope you've all enjoyed watching this video, and if you did enjoy it then please like and subscribe. If you want to comment leaving another video then feel free to. Some of the next videos I've got coming up will be talking about other factions such as the Orcs, Death Guard and Chaos Space Marines. Thank you for watching and see you next time. Goodbye.